What is a popular show you hate? I feel like the talent shows are all just forced feel-good stories masked with mediocre acts. So-and-so's mom had cancer, so she deserves to go to the next round. Hi, my name is Tasha. When I was 12, my mother died of cancer suddenly. We didn't have enough money for her funeral, so she had to be buried in a hefty bag. My father left us when I was 2, but after my mother died he came back. But was killed by a meteor 3 weeks later. Then I became a teenage mom, but my boyfriend was killed in Afghanistan and my kid got cancer. The cancer was cured, but then my kid left me for another mom who had frozen yogurt at home. I hope to win so I can afford a frozen yogurt machine for when I adopt another kid, because now I'm barren. Anyway, I'll be singing, bringing sexy back. This guy TV's I saw this vid of a lady with great art that she made in 1 minute. But like 90% of the judges pressed the red button cause they didn't have the patience to wait 1 minute to see the artwork finished. I was on Ninja Warrior and I refused to talk about my mom having cancer. She's fine now. I did well, but I was not invited back for any more seasons because the producers didn't think I made good TV. That's brutal, man. I love Ninja Warrior, but the show is 60% feel-good stories and 40% actual course running. That pretty much sums up how they prioritize selecting contestants. At least when I was involved, it's been a minute. I ended up becoming friends with a few of the other contestants and training, doing local comps with them. They are mostly a really cool group of athletes who just want to compete, but understand that you have to play the game. I just wasn't good at the media side of it. Ugh, you get a 10-minute sob story about some dude and then his run is 15 seconds because he falls on the third obstacle. Fast forward is mandatory for this show. I really dig Ninja Warrior and generally keep up. But after watching for a few years, the overplayed backstories are super annoying. My sympathies go out to every cancer survivor, orphan, or kid who grew up poor, but when contestants are selected for that bias, it's disgustingly obviously pandering. At this point I want to see a Draco Malfoy kick Harry Potter's ass. It's surreal watching them take a single aspect of someone's life and try to make it seem like that is who they are. I could never stay on brand. The Masked Singer. Everything about it is god-awful. Who is their demographic? I've never met anyone who has actually seen the show. My mother loves it. 70-ish. My mother also. Middle-aged housewives who force family time on their husband and kids. This is frighteningly accurate coming from a son of a middle-aged housewife. Don't tar us all with the same brush. I would never. The same people who share Minion memes, the Korean original version is actually so good but America did a shit job recreating it, lol. I agree. I love the Korean version. What makes the Korean version better? The guests. They are really singers, idols. They deliver. They also do not put emphasis on the outfit. They don't do elaborate outfits. They just wear masks, plain masks. But the voice quality of the singers is truly magnificent. Can you try searching for it at YouTube? Try searching Masked Singer Seulgi, Kyuhyun. Or I'm really just a fan if the show. This show is popular. I'm pretty sure it has huge viewership, just probably not with people on Reddit. Especially that cringe episode when Rudy Giuliani was on it. That was hard to watch. I applauded Ken for walking off set. What is it about? The name is very simple. Famous singers wear really shitty-looking costumes and a panel of obnoxious celebrity guests have to figure out who it is. Wrong. That is part of the problem. There is almost nobody famous on there. With just a few exceptions, they are mostly not singers and are just D-list celebrities, and the judges try to make you think they might be famous singers so you will keep tuning in. I know this because I have watched about 2 or 3 half episodes and then a couple of years later Googled to find out who the contestants were, and the only one I remember that I had heard of was Gladys Knight. I felt very sorry for Gladys Knight that she had resorted to wearing a furry costume at this stage in her life. You have not heard of pop sensations Sarah Palin and Rudy Giuliani. Say what you will about the show, but there have been fantastic artists and not so fantastic but famous people featured. Jewel, Toni Braxton, Wiz Khalifa, Danny Trejo, LeAnn Rimes, Lil Wayne, Bob Saget, Busta Rhymes, Dionne Warwick, Chaka Khan, Drew Carey, Seal, and I don't feel like listing everyone else. These are not D-list individuals. Don't be disingenuous because you hate the show and don't know who is being featured. Riverdale is a disgrace to television. S1 was pretty good but it goes really downhill after that. Never watched it. Why? Yeah, but I can't stop watching. I can't wait for it to end. Kardashians, they said popular, no one likes them, someone must like them because we can't get rid of them. It's a guilty pleasure for most people and they seldom admit to it, but there is a big population of people that are really into it. You're kidding, right? You think they're billionaires, multimillionaires because no one likes them. You know, in fairness to Friends, it's been off the air for nearly 20 years and it's still what came to mind for a bazillion people when the prompt said, popular show. Love it or hate it, that's kind of impressive. It's the only sitcom to consistently make me laugh. Tried watching The Office, Parks and Rec. That everybody seems to love and they just don't do it for me. Even BBT, first seasons are watchable but they just don't make me laugh as much. So I think Friends is just a feel-good show for a lot of people. 13 Reasons Why. Every character is a moron, and the show is also extremely boring. This show single-handedly increased suicide rates. Literally, not even joking. I hate the show Big Brother. To be fair, so do most of the people who watch it. Can confirm 90% of the casts are unbearable to watch, but here I am watching the feeds and DV ring every single episode. That show has the potential to be great. If you can tune out the cringe and reality TV trope nonsense and focus on the intricacy of the gameplay and strategy, it can be pretty fun, especially in the midst of a season when you can watch the game unfold in front of your eyes. Unfortunately, the majority of the last few seasons have been pretty stagnant and uninteresting on that front, or have had some pretty awful casting. Survivor has a pretty similar and more interesting game, and also treats itself much more seriously. That show is actually amazing and in my eyes can also be considered underrated. Survivor used to be pretty good. I love to hate it. Arguably best reality TV show of all time. Every reality show, me too. The only ones I can sit through are when I'm making fun of 90 Day Fiancé couples with my mom, or laughing a little bit about the Sister Wives downfall. The first 3 seasons of Too Hot to Handle are insanely entertaining and hilarious. The View, the art style of most adult TV shows on Netflix. Big Mouth makes me feel physically ill. Young Sheldon is painfully bad. The whole premise doesn't make sense. No matter what kind of character development, growth happens, he completely regresses by the time of The Big Bang Theory. And you've hit the nail on the head on the problem that most prequels run into. Better Call Saul is a beautiful prequel that only adds to its source material. Very rare for that to be achieved. IDK how anyone can stand that annoying kid. IDK how anyone can stand Big Bang Theory and got this show even made. Big Mouth's art style has completely turned me off of the show. That, and my ex enjoyed it. It took me a long time to come around to it because I had the same feelings about the art style. What finally got me to pay attention was a friend whose taste I trusted introducing me to it and telling me to be patient with it and let it grow on you. I still think it's not for everyone. Honestly, it's not for most people, but it's a pretty funny show. Hate is a strong word, but I don't really like Friends. Not very funny to me, and there have been a lot better sitcoms in the past. Why does Ross, the largest friend, not simply eat the other 5? I, too, have wondered that from my part of Omicron per se 6. Perhaps they are saving it for sweeps. This isn't directly to you op, but I'm curious as to what age everyone was replying to this when it was on TV. I've seen a very divisiveness on this show with generations. I can see it's not appropriate in many social ways now, but growing up with it and now watching the series, it's so iconic. I definitely watch it and say, oops, that's not a good joke now, but I still watch it because it's a warm blanket show that I put on while cleaning, or whatever. It's a good thing that a society has developed to understanding. You can agree to disagree with some things in my opinion and enjoy the majority of the show. I learned English watching Friends. Still one of my favorites. It's a comfort show for me as well. Dating shows. Scraping the bottom of the barrel there. I don't know how anyone can watch that shit. It's just us lonely people living vicariously through others. They make me feel better about not dating. Big Bang Theory is hot garbage. The podcast, The Happiness Lab, had an episode called Make 'Em Laugh, which discussed how the emotions of those around us affect our own. They talked about how a lot of sitcom jokes don't work at all if you remove the laugh tracks. Many of the examples they played were from The Big Bang Theory. The show is terrible if you remove the laugh tracks. It's still pretty bad with the laugh tracks. Then there are brilliant shows like Curb Your Enthusiasm that don't need a laugh track. Arrested Development Edit. S1 S3 This is a Reddit topic every 2 days specifically about BBT, even though it is true with every sitcom, yet somehow only BBT gets the ire of the internet. The fans are worse. If you don't like it, it means you're not smart enough to understand the jokes. Like MF, I understand the jokes, but they just aren't fucking funny. I loved this show towards the beginning. It's not a great show, but I loved it nonetheless. My grandparents love this show and they hate anything resembling good television. The Hallmark Channel and The Big Bang Theory are their 1-2 punch. I love telling people that my wife's favorite show is Big Bang Theory. A comical number of people will gush to her about how funny it is. Then I relish in that awkward moment when she has to explain that she doesn't find it even a little funny. I worked at a big box retail and the break room had an amazing 65-inch plasma TV and 80% of the staff loved watching Big Bang Theory on it. I got along with 20% of the staff. It's a show about a remiss caricature of smart people invented by stupid people to entertain even more stupid people. I don't understand why people on this site think that everyone involved in making shows like Big Bang are stupid people, trying to make a show about smart people. It's a huge team of people making a show, with the goal of it being profitable and keeping everyone employed. If they get a lot of viewers, they all get raises and keep working. What makes the people who make a popular show dumb? They have a goal and they achieved it. McDonald's makes simple food that a lot of people like. Are they dumb because the food is simple and a lot of people like it? The show is nails on a chalkboard to me, but it's made such a ludicrous amount of money and lavished in such stellar viewership numbers that even its harshest critic has to see that the team behind TBBT is competent. I actually enjoy Jim Parsons outside the Sheldon character, as well as most of the main cast and staff's other work. I'm not saying the writers are top comedians or the actors are the next Day Lewis. They just made a product enjoyed by millions and earned fuck you money in the process. TBBT may be my personal hell, but fair play to the team. The Walking Dead. It was good, but they made the mistake of killing a main character who hadn't finished their character arc, a fan fav at that. Never been able to fully recover. Which one are you referring to? Lol. That's the problem. I watched until the end. But who I believe the OC to be talking about is Glenn. I've seen a few talk or comment on his death being the moment they gave up. I enjoyed the first season, tolerated the second season and gave up on third. No idea how it made 11 seasons. Even Lost knew when to call it quits. Most repetitive shit ever. It got bad when it turned into a good group versus bad group drama that just repeats over and over. I wish all the people saying things like Friends, The Office, etc. all terrible, would say what they did like. It would just be interesting. Haven't seen Friends, but I tried The Office multiple times and couldn't get into it. And from what I've seen of clips online, I wouldn't like Friends. The Mentalist and Psych are two shows that come to mind that I've really enjoyed, although Psych can be a bit obnoxious at times. I also liked Monk, although it's a bit childish. Maybe I just haven't found a show I actually like yet. Well, if you must know, The Office is too cynical for me. I find Michael Scott and the rest of the cast unlikable. In comparison, I prefer the optimism and likable cast of Parks and Recreation. Perfectly captured my feeling about why I like the Parks and Rec over The Office. P&R is so wholesome, especially starting at S3. Disagree but understand and respect your opinion. Duck Dynasty. It's the epitome of fake reality TV shows based on people's lifestyles, popularity and glamoring big puffy lips. Anything with a laugh track really for some reason. I don't notice the laugh track on Frasier like I do with other shows. It's my favorite sitcom by far, and aired before I was born. It's 'cause in Frasier you're too busy laughing to notice the laugh track. Hope Mr. Bean is excluded. Right. You're missing out some high quality Seinfeld, my friend. I can sit through 70s show no problem and I hate laugh tracks. Ahem, fucking American Idol. The most contrived, pandering, elitist but yet throw the general populace a bone every once in a while to keep up the facade that it isn't rigged, the most sheer of veils, up it own ass. Spectacle, so perfectly made for a dystopian future that it rivals Running Man and the Hunger Games. Hot fucking pile of drizzling ass juice I have ever seen. Stranger Things. I don't hate it, it's just not for me. I've seen parts of it here and there BC of family and friends, and I get the appeal, but I think a lot of the hype is because of how popular Netflix itself is. Stranger Things is like their Mickey Mouse. This question kinda fascinates me. I don't hate any shows. There are shows I love, shows I like, and shows I don't pay any attention to. Dahmer, the fact that it is one of the most watched English-language series on Netflix disgusts me. Dahmer is about incompetent police that couldn't catch a sloppy-ass serial killer. They even returned a victim to him. That's what most of the show is about, the community outrage over inaction. The problem with the show is one. They portrayed victims' families when they pleaded with them not to. They portray Dahmer far too sympathetically, not just incompetent, but racist as well. In fact, their incompetence was due to their racism. Only known popular because it went viral. Remember Tiger King at the start of COVID? Same thing. The Voice. I can't stand Blake Shelton. To be fair, neither can most fans of country music. Mrs. Brown's Boys. Young Sheldon. God, that kid is annoying. I am here to thank everyone answering with The Big Bang Theory and Friends. It's two of the only answers people know how to give to this question, every time it's asked. Yeah, just like how The Princess Bride is always the most upvoted movie answer. Reddit is so predictable. The Walking Dead. Breaking Bad. I forced myself through the first and half of the second season. Then I had to stop. After some episodes you could hand me some paper and say, write a summary of the plot of this episode. I couldn't because nothing happened. Maybe, Walter's wife was annoying and unsupportive as in every other episode. Big Bang Theory. Yellowstone. It's just rich people being dicks to each other. Who cares? The Good Doctor. Fuck, I hate that kid. I can't stand The Good Doctor either, but he was so good on Bates Motel though. How I Met Your Mother. I liked How I Met Your Mother when it was on, until it dragged on 4 seasons too long. I still haven't forgiven it for how bad the finale was. Saw a fan prediction for the ending being that his wife was Barney's sister because when Barney meets his dad he mentions he has a daughter away at college and Ted mentions that his wife was in the classroom that he accidentally went into the first time he taught. Ultimately making Ted and Barney literal bros. Coincidentally, Ted did in fact date Barney's sister for an episode. But unlike Leonardo DiCaprio, he realized how screwed up that was and how little they had in common and broke it off. I liked it when it was on TV, but I tried to rewatch it a couple times recently and can't get past the first episode. The characters are all so creepy. Too hot to handle. A bunch of vain, vapid, shallow, empty people who would be more valuable as Soylent Green. I completely agree with you, and the production is subpar, but the whole point of the show is to make the vain, shallow, vapid, empty people less vain, shallow, valid and empty. All cop shows. Formulated bullshit.